Hi, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. Today is Friday, which means another crypto interest rates and news update. Today's the 16th of July 2021. And first of all, apologies that this video is a lot later than usual. Also apologies, I haven't had a chance to go through and update the spreadsheet any more than just updating the kind of rates which I've done over the last few days. But I haven't had a chance to kind of like rejig it, and I haven't put the yield app stuff in. But we will be touching on the yield app, particularly the Bitcoin fund, in the stories in a few minutes. But yeah, apologies for that. It's just been a really kind of manic week, so I haven't had a chance to do a lot of the stuff I was hoping to do this week. But let's jump over and have a look at the token prices. And Bitcoin down 3.1% over the last 7 days. We've been bouncing around in this kind of like sideways kind of channel, but it is a downwards kind of channel now. We are making lower highs and lower lows, so it'd be interesting to see where this kind of finishes up. We've been testing that sort of 32,000 support, which seemed pretty strong for a while, and we've broken through that. We touched down towards 31,000, I think, today before bouncing back up a little bit, currently trading just under $32,000. But yeah, a little bit of a disappointing a few weeks. I was hoping maybe first half of July would have reached that bottom, start making some gains. So it doesn't look like that is the case yet. Maybe we're in for a little bit more choppy and turbulent, even maybe a little bit of downwards action over the next few weeks, but we shall see. In relation to the token prices, I've had yield app here. Now last week, I think every token that we track here was up compared to Bitcoin. Now, unfortunately, this week, all of them, apart from crypto.com, are down compared to Bitcoin. Crypto.com down 1.5%, but beating Bitcoin. Everything else down substantially. Particularly bad for Celsius Network and Swissborg over the last 7 days, down 16.4 and 11.7% respectively. But moving on to some better news. This was announced, I think it was just yesterday actually, in Ledn. So Ledn have two interest accounts. They have Bitcoin and USDC, and one of the slight irritations was that you couldn't transfer within the web app between the two currencies. So you are now able to do that. If you look at the little the little video here, so it's instant trades, no fees. Now the cynic in me thinks that anything that has no fees, basically they're making their money on the spread. Certainly that's the case with platforms like kind of BlockFi, where you have the simplicity of just being able to swap between kind of currencies. It's not a proper exchange, and this is I imagine very, very similar to that, just swapping between those two entities. The annoying thing about that is that you often get stung quite badly on the kind of spread. I'm not suggesting that is necessarily the case with Ledn, but in the next week or so I will jump in and I will do a test. I'll take the kind of like current prices on CoinMarketCap and from the large exchanges, and then I'll compare to what we actually get from Ledn. But I would imagine normally you could maybe account for something like 1% kind of slippage on the on the exchange rate, something like that. Certainly BlockFi seems to be around that kind of range. But I'll do an update video, a very quick update video once I've tested this out myself. And then moving on to some good news as well is Nexo. They've finally launched a referral program. So if you refer someone else, if you're a Nexo user and you refer someone to their platform, you get $10 and they get $10 as well. So something in it for both parties. Now they will have to pass advanced verification and top up $100 or more of any asset in the platform, and then leave it there for 30 days. But one of the interesting things, you can refer up to 100 people. I quite like the idea of this. It does mean that these kind of like super affiliates, people with like huge Twitter followings or huge YouTube accounts that might be getting thousands and thousands of sign-ups, now they're limited to the first 100. So hopefully this means that a few more people within the kind of community themselves can refer kind of friends and benefit from this, rather than it all going to, you know, a handful of kind of like mega affiliates at the top of the pyramid, as it were. But shameless plug, I have put my sign up link to Nexo, so if you are looking to check it out and you want that $10 free, you don't have anyone else to sign up through, feel free to use my link, which will be in the description below. And then moving on to yield app. So last week I was quite chuffed actually to be talking about the launch of the kind of Bitcoin fund, but I didn't go into it in enough detail. I hadn't kind of played around with it. I know it was kind of like just about to kind of launch, but apologies, because I think I probably gave the impression, and this was the impression I had as well, was that the fund would kind of go live and you could just deposit your Bitcoin. Now I should have done a little bit more research into it because I found this. So this was on the Yield app blog, but it basically kind of clarified. So there was a 500 Bitcoin fund cap, and the first phase of it, so phase 1 here, was for tier 5 users. So this is people with a huge number of Yield token locked up on the platform. So it was open for them, and then basically there was a phase 2 which then opened after. So this was open for a few days from Thursday to Sunday, and then on the Sunday till the Monday it opened up for all users. Now unfortunately I was out last Sunday all day. When I got back I received an email in the morning to say it was open, and then I received an email which came through about an hour before I got home to say it had closed. So unfortunately I wasn't able to deposit any Bitcoin on the platform, so I can't give a kind of like, an overview of how it's kind of working, anything like that. As I said, there was a 500 Bitcoin cap. Now I surmised last week whether they would be able to keep paying out 6% plus the kind of bonuses if they had a huge amount of deposits. And what I didn't realise was that obviously they were capping that initial kind of like deposit so they could go out and try and find some yield. But I believe the fund is now closed for 90 days. So it'll be interesting to see how this performs for the 90 days. Because it's only a 500 Bitcoin kind of cap, no doubt they'll be okay actually covering this, but it'll be interesting when it opens up whether the rates are still 6% plus this up to 6% in bonuses or not. So apologies if I gave you the impression, which I'm sure I did, that anybody could be depositing Bitcoin. You had to be within this kind of like window, and I didn't realize that, otherwise I would have mentioned it on last week's video, but unfortunately I missed out as well, so I won't be able to be doing a sort of like a how-to video or a sort of like roundup video of this. But yeah, just to let you know, the Bitcoin fund is now closed for 3 months. We'll be opening again later in this year. So as we get some more information about the opening date, I will let you know. But another thing from Yield App, so their Q2 report is now out. This appeared a couple of days ago on the website, and this is quite interesting in a way. I'll let you read through it if you want by yourselves, because there's quite a lot of information to go through. But basically, a lot of things kind of happen. Obviously, they had their, Ethereum. They had the Bitcoin yield, which was actually in July rather than kind of June. But a lot of stuff kind of happened. They increased their assets under management hugely. So they now have 145.8 million of assets at the end of June. Now that's a threefold increase from the beginning of the quarter. So some really big growth there, particularly under, I think, their Ethereum fund, which this actually launched in March, so right at the beginning of the kind of quarter, and obviously was really, really kind of popular. Now the rates towards the end of the quarter did drop off a little bit. We covered that in last week's video, but really interesting information here. The link is in the description below. So if you want to have a read through everything that's been happening in Q2 on the Yield app, you can go here and take a look at it. And then finally, a Celsius story. So they've been sort of teasing this out in the AMAs for a good few weeks now, but their proof of reserve blockchain is now live. Now it's done in association with Horizon. We covered this when it was announced, I think at the end of last year, and I rate Horizon as a kind of project. I've interviewed some of the kind of like guys involved in the kind of projects, the founders and stuff. I think it's a decent kind of like solid kind of project, and I think this ZK audit that they've been developing in association with, or Celsius is the first, I suppose, the first version of this kind of out in the kind of wild, but I think it's got a lot of potential going forward. But I have to say I was a little bit disappointed. I logged into kind of Celsius, I went to this. Now what was this whole proof of reserve is now being renamed as a rewards explorer, and that seems to be what it is. Now I need to spend a bit more time going into it in a bit more detail, because I don't want to give you completely the wrong impression, but from my first impressions it certainly didn't seem like an audit, like a proof of reserves in any kind of form at all. You kind of click through and it told you what you kind of been paid. There were some gimmicky things, so it told you, what position you were out of all their kind of users in terms of your weekly kind of payouts and stuff like that. But certainly didn't have any kind of like reserves. There were no links to cold storage wallets holding kind of reserves or anything like that. There was nothing really like that included. Now, I believe a lot of the information from this is available via API and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see what members of the community sort of like build on top of this. But initially, I was slightly underwhelmed. I think it wasn't particularly transparent. It didn't, show any proof of kind of Celsius kind of reserves or anything like that, any more than them saying this is what you earned last week, which I know what I earned last week because it shows up in my account, and then you can link through to another page that says you earned this, and you were X amount of thousand out of their million users or whatever it was. So a little bit disappointed, a little bit underwhelming initially. Let me know if I'm just completely missing the point of this, but the whole proof of reserves, I wondered how they would be doing a real-time kind of proof of reserves. I think, the rehypothecation, which I think Celsius is quite notorious for, that meaning when you take out a crypto-backed loan, you give them your kind of like Bitcoin, for example, that they hold as kind of collateral, but then they actually lend that out in order to kind of earn a yield on that as well. So a lot of the reserves that they should be holding for kind of like loan collateral and stuff like that, they don't actually hold. So there's no way of actually kind of like tracking that, and that's been lent out to other people. So I don't understand how they would in real time be able to show proof of reserves, and certainly from the first glance at this, the back end of this within the kind of web app, it certainly seems to be the case. But as I said, I hope I'm not giving them being unfair, because maybe I'm missing something major, but I'll try and have a little bit more of a look into it over the next couple of weeks, and maybe do a video on it or something like that. But yeah, certainly first impressions seem to be there were no real proof of reserves that I could find within the information that was kind of presented to me. Anyway, that's it for this week. Apologies, a bit of a shorter video, and again, apologies, it's a little bit later than usual. Hopefully we'll be back to a normal schedule next week. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video, but until then, have a great day. Bye bye.